If you care deeply about people, structure can feel uncomfortable. Policies can feel rigid. Budgets can feel limiting and sometimes intimidating. Boundaries can feel unkind. But here's the truth many early leaders don't hear. Compassion without structure leads to burnout. Structure without compassion leads to harm. Healthy nonprofit leadership requires both. Hi, I'm D-Lex, and welcome to session 4 of From Vision to Fundable, where we move from vision and experience into something that protects both your mission and your capacity. Today, we're talking about why boundaries and systems are not a lack of heart. They are an act of stewardship. Okay, let's start with part 1. Why sometimes we service-minded leaders struggle with structure. Many nonprofit founders start with a simple desire. I just want to help. And that desire is so good, but without guardrails, what often happens? We say yes to everything. We overextend ourselves and we blur personal and organizational boundaries. We operate reactively instead of strategically. And over time, exhaustion sets in, resentment can creep in, our mission begins to drift off. Not because we don't care, but because care alone cannot sustain a system. In 1 Corinthians 14:40, we read, "But everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way." Order is not the opposite of compassion. It is the container that allows compassion to function responsibly. God is intentional. Creation itself reflects structure. If order matters spiritually, it certainly matters organizationally. Okay, so let's get into part 2. What structure really means. When I say structure, I'm not talking about corporate coldness. I'm talking about clear mission statements, defined program boundaries, written policies, budget discipline, volunteer expectations, decision-making frameworks. Structure answers the question, what do we do and what do we not do? The second part is just as important as the first. Okay, so let's move on to part 3, why funders look for structure. Funders are not just trying to fund your passion or your dreams. They are assessing risk. They want to know, is this organization financially responsible? Are there checks and balances in place? Are there systems in place to track impact? Can this leader manage resources wisely? Even small grants require proof of stewardship and budgets. Without structure, even the most heartfelt mission feels unstable. In Luke 14:28, Jesus says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it?" That's planning. That's budgeting. That's strategic thinking. It's not a lack of faith. It's wisdom. Okay, so let's move on to part 4. Boundaries protect people. Let's make this practical. Boundaries protect the people you serve, your volunteers, your board, your finances, your own well-being. For example, if your organization serves youth, boundaries might include clear supervision ratios, background checks, confidentiality policies, defined hours of service. Without those, harm becomes more likely, even unintentionally. Compassion without boundaries can create chaos. Boundaries create safety. Now we're going to talk about something that many nonprofits that are located within their service area may struggle with. And that issue is the danger of mission drift. Mission drift happens slowly. Someone asks for help and it's outside of your focus area. You don't want to disappoint them, so you stretch. Then stretch again. Then suddenly your organization is doing 5 things, none of them well, or none of them within your mission. And structure helps to keep you aligned. It allows you to say, that's important, but it's not within our scope. That's not rejection. That's integrity. Plus, there are so many wonderful nonprofits out here who may do the work of the mission that you're trying to help this other person with. And it's okay. Let them do that wonderful work. Or maybe you can partner together later. All right, how are we doing? I hope we're doing great because we're moving on to part 6. Systems reduce emotional decision making. When you lack systems, decisions become emotional. Whoever asks loudest gets served. Whoever pulls hardest gets attention. But systems allow fairness. For example, application processes, intake forms, clear eligibility criteria. These tools aren't barriers. They're filters that ensure equity. They protect you from favoritism, burnout, and inconsistency. Okay, let's pause and let's slow down. Ask yourself, where in my vision am I operating mostly from emotion? Where do I need clearer boundaries? What would structure look like for my specific issue? And be honest, structure doesn't diminish your heart. It strengthens it. Clarity reduces chaos. And here are some simple steps that we can take to help us with our organizations to make sure we're on the right path. So here's your practical steps for this session. If you can, write these down. What is my organization's core mission in 1 sentence? What are 2 things we will not do even if asked? And what systems do I need to create next? Budget, intake process, policies, volunteer structure? So in session 5, we're going to talk about capacity. Just because you care doesn't mean you're ready to scale or expand. We'll discuss how to assess what you can realistically handle and why small, well-executed steps are often more powerful than rapid expansion. If this session resonated with you, take time to revisit it. This journey isn't about rushing. It's about building wisely. Your opportunity awaits you, and structure will help you sustain it. So if you're anything like I was, and you felt like creating structure was a bit of a daunting task, I just want to give you a little encouragement. If you've resisted structure in the past because it felt too formal or restrictive, consider this. Structure is not about control. It's about sustainability. You cannot serve well if you're constantly depleted. You cannot build trust without consistency, and you cannot steward resources without accountability. Compassion needs structure, not to survive criticism, but to survive growth. So until next time, peace, and let God be your guide.